Science of Self-Realization session. So we have been discussing from this book, The Science of Self-Realization, since almost 1 year now. So before we begin our session, let's offer our prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandrodaya Mandir Shri Shri Unalloyed Srila Prabhupada ki. Welcome again everybody for the Sunday morning session on Science of Self-Realization. So we have been discussing on a topic, interesting topic known as the highest love since last week. So we'll continue our discussions in today's session also. This was the topic which we started last week, the highest love. And today it will be a sequence of what we have discussed so far. All these sessions are all basically inspiration from His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, which is meant to revive our original status as spirit soul. All of us are actually spirit souls, which we have forgotten now, and we are living in a bodily conception of life. So Prabhupada, very mercifully, he has given teachings from Bhagavad-Gita, Bhagavatam, in a very easily understandable way for us to practice them in our life and also see that we perfect our lives as human beings. So we offer our respectful obeisances unto Srila Prabhupada for his wonderful guidance and inspiration. So before we begin with today's discussions, let us have a quick recap of what we discussed in our previous session. Right? So the topic, as I was mentioning, is known as the highest love. So this being the topic, we were discussing on what does love of God basically mean, right? So Prabhupada explained to us that love of God basically means that you have unalloyed love for God without any other desires. Unalloyed means there is no mixture of any other intentions or aspirations or agendas. A definition was given. Anyavilashita shunya means you have no other material desire or no other desire for any material benefit. And you have no other aspiration for any speculative understanding or some activities which I want to do this, I want to do that in that way. There is no other thing. Just a simple understanding that God is great. I am part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, He is my supreme lovable object. So this consciousness that I am an eternal servant of Krishna and Krishna is the supreme lovable object for me, this is what is known as love of God. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the incarnation of Lord Krishna for his age, he has very clearly explained to us that this love of God can be developed by the practice of devotional service under the guidance of an able, expert spiritual master. So it is likened to a sort of a creeper, bhakti lata. It's like when you sow a seed, that seed gradually fructifies and grows into a plant or a creeper, like that. When the seed of devotion is given by the bona fide spiritual master, then that when you start watering it by the process of bhakti, it will grow and it will become bhakti lata. That is called the creeper of devotion, which will ultimately reach the spiritual world at the shelter of Lord Krishna to attain love of God. So having discussed this much, we also discussed on the next topic, that is Krishna and his abode and his devotees. Because we have understood that reaching the shelter of Krishna is the perfection. And to get more insight into what does it mean, who is Krishna, who is this, what is abode, what are his various what are his various devotees in the spiritual world. So one thing which we understood is that the aspect of God is a concrete understanding. It's not something fictional or imaginary. He is as real as we are. Right? He's not something which is just imagined. No. So the abode of God, Lord Krishna, exists, and Krishna is giving us information in the Bhagavad-Gita that we can go there, we can reach him, we can associate with him, and we can actually have interaction with Krishna face to face. And we also understood that there are different types of relationships with Krishna, 5 primary and some secondary type of relationships, which we'll understand more in today's session. So examples were given of how we see the grass in Vrindavan is having a passive relationship with a passive devotee. And we have many devotees of Krishna who are acting as servants of Krishna. And there are devotees of Krishna who are acting as friends of Krishna. And there are some devotees who are playing the role of parents, Yashoda, Nanda. And there are devotees, gopis, who are acting as the lovers of Krishna. So Krishna can be interacted with many such wonderful relationships. And the process to attain this eternal situation of relating with Krishna and experiencing the love of God in various relationships is Krishna consciousness. So next we discussed on the qualifications to reach Krishna. Right? The most important qualification we discussed was that we should not have any material desires. Even a slight attachment to the material world will keep us in this material world. Because Krishna is very strict. He does not allow anyone to enter into his association who have any material motives. So bhakti basically means free from all material contamination. Right? We cannot say that, oh, I'm a very big learned scholar, I've done a lot of degrees, I'm a very rich man, I'm a very beautiful person, I'm that, I'm this. All these material qualifications are of no use. The only process to reach Krishna is bhakti, bhaktyama abhijanat. Having said this much, we also discussed on what is known as the 4 purusharthas. Purushartha means the purpose or the goal for which the human beings are working now. They are known as dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. People think just to fulfill our needs and necessities, we have to perform some dharma, some religious activities, right? And we label ourselves as, I am belonging to this dharma, I am doing this. And what is the intention? Intention is to have some artha. Artha means material prosperity. By following the religious principles, they will get some material benefits. Such type of understanding, with this understanding, people perform dharma. And when you get artha, artha also means money, you want to engage that in sense gratification. I can have a nice family, nice children, nice house, nice everything. This is called sense gratification. And eventually I'll get a good position in society. I'll become prime minister, like this, go on doing things. And when finally you are frustrated with this type of material life, then you want to give up everything and attain liberation. Sometimes people would like to get addicted to some sort of a drugs so that they can become free from all the material problems they're going through. Right? This is what we understood as dharma, artha, kama. This is the moksha. This is the general way of life people are going through. Whereas the love of God or reaching Krishna Loka, the unalloyed devotion is not of this quality. And we also discussed that the real happiness is only possible by Krishna Prema. Right? Our love right now is distributed to many type of things. Our family, society, country, like this. Our love is diversified now. And we are thinking, I have to do this, I have to do that. And finally, we end our life without any notice. And again, to take up one more life. Like this, our life is going on. Journey of life is going on. So, Lord Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita, like this, if our love for Krishna, which is actually the original love of every one of us as spirit souls, is diversified like this, we can never attain perfection of life. Just to reach the Krishna Loka, Krishna's abode. It is only possible by getting or achieving Krishna Prema. So, we discussed all these topics systematically in our last session. Right? Real happiness only by Krishna Prema. So let's continue our discussions. The next question will be, how to attain this Krishna Prema? If that is the perfection of life, how to attain it? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna's direct incarnation, he says that to attain unalloyed love of Krishna or Krishna Prema, one has to execute devotional service or Krishna consciousness. Right? So there's a way how to get Krishna Prema. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the easy process to perform devotional service in a very simple way, and it's Krishna consciousness. So what is Krishna consciousness? We have to engage oneself exclusively in serving Krishna. That is called Krishna consciousness. From whole 24 hours in a day, I have no other engagement other than service to Krishna. Exclusively for Krishna. Somebody may ask, oh, I have to go for office, I have to go to my job, I have a lot of things to do, family. Yes, everything can be done in relation with Krishna. If you have the background understanding, I am working for Krishna. Yes, I am working as a job outside, but the results of this work, I'll offer it to Krishna. This family of husband, wife, children, my relatives are all Krishna given, and all of them should be given opportunity to become devotees of Krishna conscious. This mood or this background, this consciousness, what makes you connecting to Krishna, or everything you're doing in relation with Krishna. Right? So we'll discuss more on this as we move forward. So one has to engage exclusively in Krishna's service. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended. This is what Bhagavad-Gita also Krishna tells us. So we're discussing on the topic of how to attain Krishna Prema, which is the perfection of life. The highest professional stage of unalloyed devotion is to be free from all material desires, all mental speculation, and all fruitive activities. This we have discussed already in the previous session. How the highest level of devotional perfection, which you are supposed to achieve, is called unalloyed love of God or Krishna Prema, is only possible when you have no tinge of any material desire. No material desires, no any other speculative understandings about the existence of life, and you're not addicted to some sort of activities which you think is the purpose of life, material activities. So this is the understanding that we are supposed to culture and cultivate eventually, and perform our activities exclusively for Krishna's pleasure, Krishna's satisfaction. But people are all engrossed with so many things. My goal of life is this, I want to become this, I want to achieve this, I want to see that my family is happy like this. So in that way. So the basic principle of unalloyed devotion is that one cannot maintain any desire other than to become fully Krishna conscious. Right? No other aspiration or desire. Anyavilashita shunya is called. Anyavilasha shunya means there's other desires are completely zero. Only desire is how to please Krishna, how to satisfy Krishna. Even if one knows that all other forms of God are also Krishna, one should not worship any other form, but should concentrate on the Krishna form. See, even the unalloyed devotion means, yes, Krishna has many incarnations. Rama, Narsimha, Varaha, Kurma, Matsya, so many incarnations we hear. So the unalloyed devotion means I have only devotion to Krishna and no other form. Let's see. I know all these forms are Krishna only, but my devotion is only dedicated to Krishna, nobody else. This is the meaning of unalloyed devotion. So the recommendation is that Krishna has many forms, but one has only to worship Krishna in his form with the flute, as in the Radha Krishna deity. Today's the image I am showing you is today's darshan of the Vrindavan deities, Sri Radha Vrindavan Chandra. Today is a special festival here in Vrindavan, known as Hariyali Teej. The onset of monsoon brings the whole vegetation here to become green. It was dry in summer, and everything becomes green. So it is celebrated in Vrindavan as Hariyali Teej. So all temples in Vrindavan are such that Lord Krishna and Radharani are dressed in green dress with a lot of green around them. Right? This is the darshan today. So we have to have exclusive worship of Krishna in the form of his, Muralidhara, holding a flute as Radha Krishna deity. This is what Prabhupada introduced to us or told us. See, Prabhupada, when he started Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, introduced these aspects of worship to us. This is called unalloyed devotion. This is what Krishna also wants. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Krishna says, madhyaji, worship only me. So all these things are very, very, fine points in the Bhagavad-Gita, which Prabhupada has picked up for our practice of devotion. Simply concentrate on that form. Which form? The form of Radha Krishna, and all mental speculation and spiritual activities will follow. Any other thoughts are there long? Go away. Then the question will come, okay, you're telling that to attain Krishna Prema, you have to practice unalloyed devotion. This is called Krishna consciousness. And how to cultivate Krishna consciousness, that too favorably. Because we may be cultivating devotional service, Krishna consciousness, which may not be exclusively for Krishna. So how to have a favorable Krishna consciousness practice? One has to cultivate Krishna consciousness favorably, and that means to execute service by which Krishna becomes satisfied. Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam is said. The definition of pure bhakti means, as given by the acharyas, is that the activity what I am going to do is meant for Krishna satisfaction. So this is called Krishna Prema. Just like when you do any activity in the material world, you will see how it's going to satisfy me or your extended self, like family, society, country. That we tend to do activities in that way, not for Krishna satisfaction, but for so many other people's satisfaction. Right? You always want to see, just like the modern social media is giving an opportunity for you to see that, you post something that everybody, or rather you try to satisfy many people, please many people by doing something. So you're always on the lookout of trying to please others and yourself. Nobody has the mood or intention of pleasing Krishna. So favorable devotional service or favorable Krishna consciousness means with every activity, how I can please Krishna. It's like if now I'm talking to all of you. If I start thinking, I'm talking so nicely, I'm presenting so nicely, so everybody will be happy, no? That is not a proper attitude. Rather, we should think, I'm just delivering this talk to so many other souls. And this talk is just whatever Prabhupada has spoken, I just want to repeat that. And by this, if other entities, other souls, other human beings can be benefited, such a wonderful, seva. And by this, Krishna is pleased. His pure devotees are pleased. This mood we have to have. Right? So this is called favorable devotional service. Krishna consciousness is not attained by manufacturing one's own way. Again, what is favorable, what is not favorable, you cannot manufacture by your own concoction, right? I may think that I am doing something in Krishna consciousness, but who has sanctioned it? So activities in Krishna consciousness, favorable activities for satisfying Krishna only, cannot be imagined or cannot be concocted. Right? There's an authority who can sanction these activities. What is going to please Krishna? Just like, for example, if I come to your home and ask you, please give me a glass of water, then you will ask me, you want warm water or normal water or cold water? Then I'll say warm water. Then your duty will be to bring me warm water as per my direction or my desire. If you start speculating, I have asked water and let me give him very cold water during winter, if you go, how it will be dissatisfying. So we have to understand that what does Krishna want? So Krishna has explained his requirements, his needs in the Bhagavad-Gita. He's expressed his mind in Bhagavad-Gita. What does he want? So when you do something, we have to understand that we have to conform to those standard understanding of what Krishna wants. That is what Prabhupada want to tell us here. Now, Prabhupada gives a nice example. For instance, in the Bhagavad-Gita, Arjuna hesitated to fight for certain moral reasons. But he was viewing the situation from the platform of fruitive activities on which one has to enjoy or suffer the results. A very classic example. When Arjuna in the battlefield was about to take up his bow and arrows and wanted to start fighting, as soon as Krishna brought the chariot in between the two armies, he observed all the other great personalities on either side, and he became overwhelmed with too much of attraction or attachment to his family members, because on both the sides there are only family members who have come to fight. It's like telling you line up all your family members and you're given a revolver and I tell you, please shoot them. That was the situation of Arjuna. So Arjuna started considering, how can I kill my family members? They are my own people, Swajana. Right? So here, the example given with regard to Arjuna is very, very wonderful. Prabhupada is telling that Arjuna's hesitation to fight, giving some reasons, moral reasons, was based on his own satisfaction. If I do this, then we may not be able to enjoy the kingdom. We may not be able to show our opulence to other family members. If everybody is killed, who will see? Who will enjoy? It's like in the ordinary course of life. You have purchased a new house. You would like to tell this to all your family members, your relatives, your friends. Right? You purchase a new car. You would like to show it to everybody. So Arjuna is thinking, after fighting, even if we kill, or even if we kill everybody and we win, who is there to show our opulence? This is the type of a mentality. It's called fruitive mentality. So this type of understanding Arjuna was having, and he's thinking, we'll enjoy, we'll suffer from this. So Arjuna was considering that if he killed his family members, he would then be subjected to many reactions. That's what Arjuna was thinking. Right? So like this, Arjuna's way of deliberation on many aspects was completely based on his satisfaction. So this conclusion, however, Krishna immediately rejected. Krishna said, "You're speaking like a fool." Right? Krishna's first reaction for all these various arguments given by Arjuna was that you are ashocyan anvashochastvam pragyavadamsha bhashase. You're speaking like a learned man, Arjuna, but you're a big fool. And this was not sanctioned by Krishna. The law of action reaction in this material world is called karma. But devotional service transcends karma. This we have to understand very clearly. This is a principle which Prabhupada is mentioning here. That in the material world, whatever you do, whatever you think, whatever you act has a reaction. It is called laws of karma. And whatever you are experiencing in our life right now is because of our previous many cycles of action, reactions, effect. Right? Whereas anything done for satisfaction of Krishna as authorized by Krishna or his representative, please note this point. This is the point we're going to come now. So, what Krishna wants, Arjuna was not aware. Actually, Arjuna was a pure devotee, but he was playing the role of an ordinary person. So, Arjuna seems to not know what Krishna wants actually. So, he was playing like an ordinary person and expressing his ignorance to the entire world, because of which Krishna spoke Bhagavad-Gita. Right? So, what Krishna wants, what is Krishna's sanction, is what we are supposed to understand, and this comes down through his pure devotees. So, when you perform activities pleasing Krishna, means what Krishna wants, I will do. That is beyond karma. That is called akarma. It has no action-reaction influence. Whereas anything we do on our own, it has an action-reaction influence. The example is given, very famous example is given by Prabhupada, how a soldier in the army, under the command of the army military commander, he does everything based on the commander's orders. Commander says, you shoot the enemies, he'll go and shoot. And because of his very valiant actions, he'll be awarded with a lot of rewards once the war is over. Whereas the same soldier, he comes back to his place, his village, and he starts taking his revolver and starts shooting everybody or anybody without any sanction. What happens? The law will see that he is arrested immediately and it is put behind bars, and he will be punished also for that, seriously. You see, the sanction, who has given sanction for him in the war? The commander-in-chief has given. Whereas as an ordinary citizen, without any sanction, he does any actions, he'll be punished for that. He'll be penalized for that. That is the point. Unalloyed love must be free from all tinges of fruitive activities, karma, and all tinges of mental speculation and material desire. That's what when we say pure bhakti means should not have any motivations, any speculative understandings, any material desires. So that unalloyed devotional service should be favorably fixed on Krishna. Right? So we're discussing on how to have a favorable devotional service done for Krishna. And we're discussing on the point of how this service can be done when it is sanctioned by Krishna. Whatever we are supposed to do should be sanctioned by Krishna. So one more wonderful understanding Prabhupada gives. Favorably means in accordance with what Krishna desires. What his desires. All this is expressed by Krishna in the Bhagavad-Gita very nicely. Krishna desired that the battle of Kurukshetra take place. It was all arranged by him. We'll see in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, Arjuna, he showed Vishwarupa, universal form to Arjuna and said, see Arjuna, see all these various soldiers, various armies and all these people, and Arjuna could see what is going to happen in the future. Everybody is rushing towards towards death. So the arrangement which Krishna already had planned with regard to the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna was showing that in his universal form. Krishna said, I am time factor. So there is a will of Krishna, it's called desire of Krishna, and Krishna's time factor is managing everything in the material world based on various karmas of different divinities. So Arjuna was informed by Krishna that Arjuna, you just become an instrument in this whole battlefield. Whether you fight or don't fight, the battle is anyway going to happen. And the result, what has to come, will come. You become an instrument and take the credit. Krishna said to Arjuna. Right? This is the way now we have to understand. See, everything is happening by Krishna's will. And Krishna's will manifest through his energy known as Kala, time factor. So it is Krishna's will is expressed in Bhagavad-Gita very clearly, what he wants from us. If we do something contrary to that, then we will be punished. That is the point. So Arjuna was told, you are thinking in your own way, Arjuna. But even if you do not fight, rest assured that because it has been arranged by me, none of these warriors who are assembled here are going back to their homes. They will be killed here. It has already been arranged by me. It means, Krishna says, this is how I am. I know past, present, future, and I am managing the whole show, Krishna says. So God's desire is such that one cannot change it. I heard the famous statement. It says, not even a blade of grass can move without Lord's sanction. So everything is happening, moving, and maintained by Krishna, by his desire. The whole cosmos is working under his direction, his desire. The scriptures say, the sun is rising on time, the moon is rising on time and setting on time. The seasons are changing, the wind is blowing, all by the will of Krishna, desire of Krishna. It's like, somebody is driving a vehicle. Driver is sitting and he's controlling the steering and he's able to do whatever is required for the vehicle. And we cannot say a car is moving without anybody's control. So this whole world, cosmos, is going on under the control of Krishna. Not only this universe, there are innumerable universes. Everything is happening under Krishna's control. Bhagavad-Gita, Lord Krishna says, Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. Under my supervision, under my superintendence, this whole material world is moving on. Right? This is the wonderful perspective which we are supposed to have. So Krishna's sanction, only this whole world is going on. So what is his specific his need and his requirement from us? Krishna is expressed in Bhagavad-Gita. So Krishna has two qualities. He can protect and he can also kill. Right? If he wants to kill someone, there is no power in the world that can protect him. And if he protects someone, there is no power in the world that can kill him. A nice statement, Prabhupada says, that Mare Krishna Rakhe Ke, Rakhe Krishna Mare Ke. If somebody has to be killed by the will of Krishna, no force in the world can stop it. And if somebody has to be protected by the will of Krishna, by his desire of Krishna, nobody can be, can harm that person. It's like in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, you see, whatever great calamities came for Arjuna, big warriors like Bhishma, Drona, all of them were much superior warriors compared to Arjuna. But because Krishna was standing in the front as a chariot driver, Partha Sarathi, nothing could harm Arjuna. Because Krishna decided Arjuna has to be surviving, Arjuna has to be saved. Just see, this is Krishna's desire, Krishna's will. So like this, Krishna has expressed his desire, his will with regard to what we as living entities, as human beings, we are supposed to be doing in this material world. We have to understand that will and conduct ourselves in that way. Otherwise, we'll be entangling in ourselves what is known as karma bandhana. We don't do activities as per Krishna's desire, Krishna's will, we'll get entangled. It's like in the ordinary course of law also. If you're not abiding, you're not a law-abiding citizen, you'll be entangled by the various governmental legal aspects. Right? Likewise, we have to abide by Krishna's will, Krishna's order. That is all expressed very clearly in the scriptures, especially in the Bhagavad-Gita. Bhagavad-Gita is basically meant as for us to guide us in our way of life, in our human life. It's a guiding principle, basically. It's a manual for us to conduct ourselves in a proper way. So Krishna's desire, to understand, is the supreme desire. Nobody can have any word or any say in this, that, oh, I also have desire, my desire also should be fulfilled. No. It's like we see in the ordinary meetings or things, everybody would like to dominate on other person. Whereas with regard to Krishna, his desire is the ultimate, supreme. So it's called Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, as subordinate entities, it is our duty to dovetail our desires with Krishna's. It's like in any organization, establishment, even in our country also, we have to follow the government which we have elected, because we are the ones who elected them. And there are some laws made, you have to abide by. This whole universe is the supreme government of Krishna. And this whole creation is Krishna's supreme, under supreme governance of Krishna. So we have to abide by his desires. Not abiding by his desires will cause a lot of problems for us in different ways. One big problem is we'll continue our material existence. It's like a criminal who doesn't want to rectify himself. Then he'll continue his stay in prison. So likewise, so long we have the mentality of not obeying Krishna's order or not abiding by Krishna's desire, we'll continue our existence in the material world. This is the principle behind which this material world is functioning. So these are all very fine aspects of life which we have to understand and accordingly align ourselves. So whatever Krishna desires, no one can make null and void because he is the Supreme Lord. Therefore, our duty is to dovetail our acts with Krishna's desire, not to manufacture an action and then declare, oh, I am doing this action in Krishna consciousness. So we're discussing on the point of how to execute favorable devotional service to get Krishna Prema, love of God. To get love of God, we have to execute favorable devotional service as per the desire of Krishna, as per the sanction of Krishna. We cannot manufacture, concoct, and imagine something and just say, oh, this is what I think Krishna wants. It's like in the modern day context, we see people have they have devised their own ways of dharma, puja. You ask somebody, what is the way of puja you do? Oh, I have some way of puja. I have this much, this I do, that I do. All imagined or manufactured. They don't have a standard understanding of how to do things. Right? I give the example of how I come to your home and I'm asking some water, warm water. So you should listen to me and then accordingly serve me what I want. So Krishna, what Krishna wants, he has expressed himself in the Bhagavad-Gita. His mind has been expressed. But to understand Bhagavad-Gita and accordingly serve Krishna, that is the right way of performing our devotional service. So we have to be very careful and ascertain whether Krishna actually wants it, which means I have come to your home and I'm asking you, give me warm water. You have to listen carefully first. Oh, you want warm water. Okay. How much glass? 1 glass. All these things, details you have to understand, then execute the service. Right? That way, Prabhupada says, be very careful and ascertain what actually Krishna wants. Such authorized knowledge is instructed by the representative of Krishna. Somebody may say, oh, right now, Krishna is not personally present. How can I know that Krishna is being satisfied? Krishna is being, his desires are being fulfilled. So, very nicely, Krishna explains in Bhagavad-Gita, his representative is there. His pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, has given us wonderful instructions, practical instructions. What Krishna wants. A pure devotee is a very confidential servant of Krishna. Whatever Krishna wants, he knows very clearly. Just like a personal secretary of a very highly positioned person. Secretary knows what that big man wants. So likewise, pure devotees are confidential servants of Krishna. They know what is Krishna's desire. They know what is Krishna's will or what is Krishna's aspirations. Accordingly, when they express some things in a practical way for us, we have to follow that. That is known as following the representative of Krishna. So now, one very important principle you have to understand in the practice of devotional service, which is expressed in the Bhagavad-Gita and all the scriptures as a very important principle. So this is known as pleasing spiritual master pleases Krishna. Which means pleasing Krishna's representative is going to please Krishna. And actually, they actually make these arrangements. The devotees, in the spiritual world make so many such arrangements of having wonderful pastimes with Krishna. So in our prayers to spiritual master, we are singing daily. If the spiritual master is satisfied, then God will be satisfied. If one dissatisfies the spiritual master, then there is no way for him to please God. The prayer we sing every day, early morning, to offer it to spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. That Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasad, Yasya aprasada nagati kuto. If the pure representative of Krishna is pleased, then Krishna is pleased. If pure representative is not pleased, then Krishna becomes displeased. In English, there's a famous saying, if you love me, then you love my dog. Right? So, pure devotees are like very intimate associates of Krishna. Krishna likes them very much. And so much so that Krishna says to Arjuna in one of the scriptures, those who say they are my devotees are not my devotees. And those who say that they are my devotees' devotee, they are my devotees, Krishna says. You see, this is the type of wonderful relation Krishna has with his devotees. Krishna is sold out to his devotees. Krishna is completely, very much dedicated to his devotees. Therefore, as far as possible, one has to execute the order of one's spiritual master. So what does Krishna wants is coming down in the line of these pure devotees known as spiritual master. Just follow the orders of spiritual master, then Krishna is pleased. This will enable one to progress in our spiritual life and devotional service. So this is the essence of the favorable execution of Krishna consciousness. So we're discussing on the point of how to execute devotional service favorably. The main crux of the point, crux of the discussion is to see that Krishna's representatives' orders should be followed strictly. Then everything will be nicely done. Prabhupada gives a practical example in this regard, in his own life. He said, even though Prabhupada met his spiritual master, his Guru Maharaj, when he was around 25 years old, 25, 26 years old, and he got the orders that you young people should preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna, to all the English-speaking people. But Prabhupada tried his best for many years. Almost when he was at the age of 70 years, he has been trying how to preach this message of Bhagavad-Gita, Bhagavata to all the people who speak English. Right? And at the age of 70, Prabhupada decided to travel to the West and execute the orders of his spiritual master, to fulfill the desire of his spiritual master. So Prabhupada's life had been a life of dedication to his spiritual master. Right? Whole life he was planning, trying to please his Guru, his spiritual master. So Prabhupada says, whatever we see as success in the ISKCON movement is all because of I was personally trying to please my Guru, my spiritual master. Krishna will be very pleased when you please your spiritual master. That is the point. This is the main essence of the favorable execution of Krishna consciousness. So those who are actually serious should take the order of Krishna to the representative of Krishna as their entire life and soul. Like Prabhupada showed this practically in his, in his example, how he took the order of his spiritual master as the life and soul, and tried to fulfill the desires of his spiritual master. One who sticks to this principle is sure to progress. This is the secret behind how to progress in devotional service and attain finally love of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke in this way, and my spiritual master used to say, the spiritual master is the transparent medium. So how is this possible? You please the representative of Krishna and Krishna is pleased, because the representative of Krishna or the representatives, chain of representatives, they are all called the transparent medium. So what do you mean by transparent medium? For example, I can see the letters of this book very nicely through these transparent eyeglasses. Right? I'm wearing a glass. I can see this screen clearly because this glass is transparent. If say this glass is not transparent, it is having some other tinge of color, I cannot see it clearly. Right? Because my eyes right now is defective. It requires some other medium so that I can see the world in a clear way. So my eyes right now are ignorant about who am I, what is this world all around, what is this life all about. So in that way, we are all completely in ignorance. So Krishna, through his merciful appearance as spiritual master, he gives us the direction. So spiritual master becomes that transparent medium. He opens, he's like a torchlight who shows us the way, path to move forward in our journey of spiritual life. Similarly, our senses are all defective. We cannot see God with these eyes. We cannot hear Hare Krishna with these ears. We cannot do anything without the medium of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is that transparent medium who will make us connect with Krishna directly. Because right now we don't have any qualification to connect with Krishna, because Krishna is transcendental, he's spiritual. We are on a material platform. This is the wonderful principle which is working. Just as a defective eye cannot see without the medium of spectacles, so one cannot approach Supreme Lord without the transparent medium of spiritual master. It's like a transparent means that the medium must be free of contamination. It's like you see a glass, a clear transparent glass will completely see that the light from outside is completely, like without any hindrance, obstruction, it comes inside. Right? There will be no other block or contamination. If it is transparent, one can see through it, which means through spiritual master, you can directly see Krishna. There's no other way. And in this regard, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's wonderful contribution, we need to a little deliberate upon, which we'll understand in this matter. If in unalloyed love of Godhead, we have to engage our senses, sarvendriya, all the senses. We have discussed this point already, that devotional service means engaging our senses in the service of Krishna to satisfy Krishna as per the orders given by his representative. Right? So we have to engage our senses, all senses, sarvendriya. This means that even the sex also can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. And this seems to be a little very, out of the context. Telling sex also can be engaged. The conception of God as father or mother does not allow the engagement of one sex in service of the Lord, because there is no sexual relationship with the father and mother. It's a different type of relationship, parental relationship with father and mother. Krishna is born as father. Krishna is born as son of particular devotees. There's a different relationship with them. But in the conception of God as a lover, there is sexual engagement also. It's like the gopis, the queens of Vrindavan. They were having a different relationship. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the most perfect information of her engagement with the Supreme Lord. So what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? In other religious conceptions of life, God is at most taken as the father or mother or order supplier. Just like in some religions, it is said they are praying to God, please give us our daily bread, or give us our food every day, or please protect us. It's like how a father or a superior in a family protects. That way, we've seen that from that perspective. In India, especially, we see many worshippers of goddess Kali. They consider Kali to be representative of God. Of course, all these understandings are not sanctioned, but the belief is there. And in the Christian religion also, the conception of God as a father is there. Right? So father, mother, there is no aspect of intimate relationship as a lover. Right? That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will tell us. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informs us that one can have even intimate relationship as a conjugal relationship or sexual engagement with the Lord. This is very unique information and unique contribution which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us. In the material world, when man, woman are engaged in sex or sexual engagement, they consider it to be very, very highest engagement, and that the level of pleasure what they are going to derive from this, they consider it should be very great pleasure, highest pleasure. But the sex engagement in the material world of a material person, two material people, man and woman, is actually a perverted reflection. It's not actual reflection, actual reality. This point you have to understand. Because the actual relationship between living entities and Krishna in the spiritual world is a real relation. Anything you see in the material world is only reflection. It looks like real, but it is reflection. It's perverted reflection because it is having so many inebrities. Inebrities means a lot of deficiencies, a lot of problems. Right? Whereas in the spiritual world, the relationship of a particular soul with Lord Krishna is having wonderful, blissful, and full of eternal relationship. This is what we understood in the previous session. So like this, in the material world, even the so-called sexual relationship is full of problems. No one, however, has conceived that there can be sexual engagement in the spiritual world. But this is possible. It's like the gopis of in the Golok Vrindavan. There is not a single instance of such theology anywhere in the entire world. And this information is given by the first time by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One can have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one's husband, as one's lover. So this brings us to the point of understanding of what is known as the relationships which we discussed at the beginning of our previous session. Right. So when you worship Radha Krishna, actually, you are going to come to this highest level of relationships, various relationships which we can experience with Krishna. And whereas the impersonalists or the people who don't want to understand Krishna's actual situation, they can't appreciate, they can't understand this relationship of Radha Krishna. They see everything from the material perspective, because in material world, any relationship is going to be finally disappointing, frustrating, it is bewildering, right? Whereas in spiritual world, relationship is eternal. This is the point we're supposed to understand. Right? See, in the material world, a husband-wife relationship is going to last as long as one of the spouse is alive. Once one of them is dead, over, relationship is finished. Right? Whereas in spiritual world, the relationship is eternal. It is forever existing. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling us. This is something very, very unique, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has informed us. The impersonalists have no idea. They cannot even conceive that God has a form. Right? The Mayavadis or the impersonalists, they think ultimately God means he's Nirakara, without any form. So this is their understanding. So how can they understand further? Oh, we are having forms, we are having relationships, whereas God has no forms and no relationship. This is the type of understanding they have. Right? Whereas very clearly Bhagavad-Gita gives understanding that God has his specific form. He has wonderful relation with his devotees. This we discussed in the beginning of the session today. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that not only does God have form, but he has sex life also. It is the highest contribution of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this brings us to the point of understanding about the different types of relationships we as spirit souls can have with Krishna. When you have matured yourself in the process of devotion, it will bring us to the point of what is known as love of God. And love of God means exchanging relationship with Krishna. And the scriptures point out that there are 12 different types of relationships with Krishna. One can serve the Supreme Lord in various relationships, but in the material world, those relationships exist only as perverted reflections. Again, a very important philosophical point. Right? Any relationship, as I told you, is not going to last permanently with us. You develop friends, or you make friends, new friends, or you get married at one point of time, or you develop some relation with some other opposite sex at one point of time. Right? Various relationships as friend, as master and servant, or as parent and children, or as a lover and loved one. All that is in different ways is going on in the material world. But all of them are called perverted reflections because they don't have actual reality, no substance. It is actually the same relationships which all of us have with Krishna in the spiritual world in its original form. That is the point. In a society, someone is engaged as a father or mother to a son, and others are engaged as husband and wife, lover and beloved. All of us, we see in the whole world, people are having different types of relationships going on. I take 2-3 more minutes today. So like this, we see the same type of relationships which you see in the spiritual world is all seen in a different way in the material world with different living entities in the in this material world. And there are other rasas, relationships also, such as to be engaged with another as an enemy. There are 12 different relationships, out of which 5 are predominant. The other 7 are indirect relationships, such as, for example, to be someone's enemy. And there's usually a relationship between enemies, even between a murderer and the one who he murders, because too much enmity makes other person to murder one more person. It's one type of relationship. This is actually existing in its original form in spiritual world in a different way. What is this? How it is? We'll understand in our next session. But for time being, let us understand that as far as our relationship with Krishna is concerned, however, even if one establishes a relationship as his enemy, then also his life is successful. Just like we have examples of great demons like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa. All of them were inimical to Krishna. But when Krishna actually killed them, he delivered them. They got liberated. See, even killing by Krishna is beneficial. His life became successful. The demon's life became successful. Because he was enemy of Krishna. He was not enemy of some other person. That's the point which Prabhupada is trying to make us here. Therefore, when one engages his senses with Krishna, a relationship can be established in one of the 12 different varieties, of which 5 varieties are direct and 7 are indirect relationships. This relationship is called rasa. So we'll understand more about this rasa relationships with Krishna in our next session. It's part 3 of this same topic, the highest love. So with this, we close today's session and open the platform for any questions and any comments that we can take up. Any questions and comments now.